Hello. Hello, welcome back. Welcome to day 4 of Story Magic. Now I've told you today is games day, so we need videos on. Excellent. Hi Lavinia, lovely to see you. Lovely to see you, Becky and Hazel and Ellen and Felicity. Welcome, welcome. And Lisa, brilliant. All right, a few more coming in. Have you all come ready to play? You warmed up, done your stretches. Rian's ready. I can see it. Excellent. All right. I'm excited for today. This is when we get to play. And yesterday was beautiful, wasn't it? What a beautiful co-creative session. Felt like a really, really special place to be in. I felt very honoured that this gets to be my work yesterday. So thank you for helping that to be true. It's really beautiful. And today we play. So yesterday I was teaching you in the training part about the use of the senses and the emotions in your language as ways to engage an audience. And it works equally well when you are speaking and when you're writing. There are a few differences in how you would apply it and how you might edit or hone writing versus spoken. I never script, and I would never suggest to script, but there will be certain phrases that become almost your unique vocabulary that you want to deliberately use in their set phrases, because then they start to be associated with you. There are a few different ways that we'll tweak that when you're writing versus when you're speaking, but we'll get to that later. At the moment, we want to start working the muscle of using sensory language and emotive language in general. Okay, so that's why we're going to be playing this game. For some of you, it might feel wildly out of your comfort zone. Welcome. And for some of you, you will take to it like a duck to water, and it will be absolutely wonderful, and you'll throw yourself in. So wherever you are sitting on the, oh my goodness, I love wordplay and I love improvisation and I love games, all the way to please don't make me speak. Know that there is someone who has been in that space before you, and it's all really natural. And I'm going to encourage you to go 2 feet into our games today. The first game we're going to play is called Sensory Story. So this is focusing on the senses. So here's a reminder of the senses that we're going to be using. So if you are, or if you've been trained as a teacher or a trainer, you'll have had VACOG drilled into you, right? It will be very, very familiar and easy for you to remember, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. If you haven't, and that's new information, what I recommend you do is just think seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, tasting. Okay, and I'm actually going to pop those in the chat. I'm going to put VACOG because if you know that, you know that. And then I'm going to put 6, and that's the 6th sense. Or if you don't know that, if you're not familiar with that, then I want you to think seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, tasting, 6th sense. And that's what you'll go with in your brain. Okay. because this is the order that we're going to be telling sensory stories in together as a group. We're not using auditory digital because, as I said yesterday, that isn't the most engaging sense to be using when we are talking about storytelling. So the way the game works is, to start us off, I will start and I will begin a story, and I will be using the sense of sight, okay, visual seeing. And then somebody brave is going to unmute themselves and continue the story using the sense of hearing. And then when they leave off, somebody else brave is going to jump in and continue the story using the sense of feeling, right? The kinesthetic senses, temperature, weight, heavy or light, touch, and then smell, and then taste, and then the sixth sense. And we go round again and perhaps again. Okay, so any questions in terms of understanding how the game works? Any kind of comprehension questions? Great. In that case, we're going to start. Don't leave me hanging. I want someone to jump in when I finish my line. Okay, sense of sight. I saw the clouds gathering murkily in the distance.
Far behind me, I could hear the thundering sounds coming closer.
My body started to shiver.
I could smell electricity in the air.
A bitter taste like bile was rising in the depths of my guts. I sensed.
Keep going, Hazel.
I sense. Sorry, I've lost it because someone interrupted. I sense something bad was about to happen.
In the distance.
Brilliant.
Go ahead, you go ahead.
The brilliant lightning in the distance startled me.
And then I heard my father call.
Almost immediately, the thunder came with a loud clap.
I could smell the smoke from a faraway distance.
And I could feel the touch of the raindrops on my shoulders.
I wondered what they would taste like if I could feel them on my tongue now.
I had the feeling that something was going to happen, but I just did not know quite what.
And then I saw it, way off in the distance.
The massive oak tree came crashing to the ground.
The weight of the thud reverberated through my body.
I could smell the soil where the tree had uprooted.
The taste of maple syrup came into my head.
I knew this was going to be a great day.
Amazing. Let's pause there. Well done, everyone. Well done. Who found that easier than you expected? Great. Who found it harder? Yeah. Okay. And who was like, yeah, that was pretty much about what I expected? Brilliant. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into smaller groups so that you can continue to play this in your smaller groups. Make sure that everybody gets a turn. We'll do groups of 6 to 8 because if we just do 6, you might kind of fall into a pattern of doing the same one, and I want you to make sure you're mixing it up and playing. So let's go to breakout rooms. So how many does that mean we need? 1, 2, probably 3, I think. Oh, it's going to be 6 per room. Okay, so you're just going to need to be responsible and make sure you go in a different order, okay? You don't, because if you go in the same order each time, you'll be doing the same sense each time. So mix up the order, okay? All right.
Someone goes twice at the end.
No, just mix up the order. Just go in a different order. I think you're all capable of that. And have about 3 to 5 minutes to play and cycle through the senses and have fun. And I might pop in, just keep going if I pop into your room, okay?
Okay, you're muted.
We can't hear you, Kate.
Got it. Thank you. Here I am. Was that fun? Yes? Brilliant. Yay. I was asking, was that fun? And you were all like that. Oh no, they hated it. I realised that when we came back in that little segment, I didn't press record. So I'm just going to repeat what I said for the people watching the recording and also for you if you want to watch it in the future. So that game that we just played was all about guessing the emotion, and it was exactly what I taught you yesterday in yesterday's class about going back into the moment, how it felt in your body. So those 3 questions. How did it feel in your body? How did it make your body want to move? And then as a sort of next level extension, is there something it reminds you of? Is there something it felt like? Is there therefore an effective metaphor that you can use to extend the description of that emotion? And then we went off into groups and played. And we're back here. I'm going to do a little teaching just on things that I've seen. And then I'm going to see if anyone is willing or even maybe wanting to share your emotion for the whole group. Okay? So the main thing I saw, and the best way to sort of give you how not to do this is by saying that when you're writing, right, when you're storytelling, your words, whether they're spoken or written, are like a camera. Okay, so if you imagine that you're making a film with the camera, with the direction of the camera, with where it's zooming in, where it's zooming out, the speed of the zoom, you're directing the gaze of the audience. We don't have a camera. All we have is our words. But with your words, you can direct the gaze or the attention of your audience and take it where you want to be taking it. And with that comes a level of understanding that if you give too much, right, then you confuse the gaze of your audience and they don't know where to look. They don't know what's important because you're giving them too much and they don't know where to land their attention. So I know that I said in the description of this exercise, go overboard, right? But I didn't mean by that be confusing, right? I meant really go in and use this as a tool and use sensory language and use emotive language. But make sure, like, look back at what you've written. Is it cohesive? You know, in one moment, are you telling them, and I'm just going to use an example I did here, and it's not to kind of point fault, but just because it's a great example to land this point. But, you know, at one point, are you telling them that it feeling was butterflies, and then another moment, the very next moment, that it was heavy? Because that's confusing, and they don't know now which one to focus on, which one to believe, which one to interpret. Okay, so make sure you're not confusing your audience. Choose a few really key sensations that feel most important, and then go in there and take your audience with you. Okay, and remember, when it comes to storytelling, your words are the camera. Your words are telling the audience where to look and where not to look. So, who wants to share your emotion and have the whole group guess? Carol, brilliant.
I'm cheating. I don't want to share my emotion. I wanted to ask a quick question. How do we deal with it when we've got multiple emotions? Because that was what came through in ours. Is, you know, we rarely just feel one emotion.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you just stick to that a moment, please?
Yeah, it's a great question. And what has happened in the past at this point in the course is was really interesting and you know, surprising to me, because people would share the sensations, right, the words, and we would guess something, and they would go, oh, you know, that isn't what I was going for, but that's actually more true to how I felt. And so it might even be that in the response from the audience, what you're realizing is how you really felt in that moment, and you had actually put the wrong label, the wrong emotion onto that. So that's one thing that might be happening right now. And then another would be just in a storytelling sense to decide, right? How do you want your audience to interpret what you're saying? What's most useful? How is it most useful for your audience to be feeling? And if you want to be conjuring that feeling with your words, make sure you've chosen the right one. Like, if, let's say, I'll just go really crass, right? Let's say you're about to do a sale and you want your audience feeling really excited or really trusting in themselves or something bigger. Actually, you know what? I take it back. That's not crass. This is important, right? It's the state of mind and the emotional state of your audience pre-sale is hugely important. If you've just told a story about fear and then you try and make a sale, not clever, right? So actually thinking about, how do you want your audience to be feeling? Do you want them to be feeling really deeply seated in self-trust, trusting something bigger? Then tell stories about that. If you want them feeling excited about what's possible for them in the future, tell stories that include excitement as the emotion. So there's a few different ways of answering your question, Carol. Is that helpful?
Yeah, they were very helpful. They were different from what we were saying. It was just that we were sort of saying, oh, well, that could be fear, it could be rage, and we'd say that and the person would say all of the above. But I think what you're saying is to just choose one of them and really, really focus on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great question.
Kate,
yes.
So with our audience that you're talking about in terms of the marketing side of things and the stories, could it be like a journey that starts low but ends with, you know, the excitement and the drawing in?
You, Mariam, have skipped ahead, and yes, it can, and it will be. Yeah, that's where we're going. That's where we're going. So we absolutely want to be crafting stories that take our audience on an emotional journey. That is the number one role, really, of any speaker, is to be taking your audience on an emotional journey through story. So yeah, and it's why it's important to be really clear, because if you're going to go fear to trust, that's a very different emotional journey than anger to joy, right? So we do want to be clear about the emotion we're evoking, and then where we're taking our audience afterwards. But yes, absolutely, we want our stories eventually to be taking our audience on an emotional arc. Okay, so who wants to share your emotion for the whole group? Excellent, Rianne.
Buzz, buzz. I sleepily lifted my arm to silence the alarm, sorely tempted to roll over and ignore it for just a few more minutes. But suddenly I was wide awake like a cat. It was Thursday. I couldn't sleep on a day like today. I jumped out of bed and across the shiny floorboards to pull back the heavy curtain and look down into the quiet street. What if they were early? I had to get ready. Quickly yanking on my clothes, I tripped over a stray toy. Running down the stairs with one sock still on my hand, I slid into the living room to check the window once more. Nothing. I hesitated to leave. I could miss it. Ding dong. This was it. It had arrived.
Okay, everyone guess the emotion.
So, I have a question about the answer was anticipation, which most people, there's a lot of excitement in there.
Yeah.
So when
they're similar enough.
Yeah. Does it matter which one you're putting up?
No, between those two, no. That excited, anticipating. Yeah. As long as we're not thinking that you're anticipating with dread, right? We know that it's a positive form of anticipation.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, great, really good. And you actually did already a little bit of a story arc, because we had different emotions in there, right? We had the sort of, not that it's exactly an emotion, but like state. We had the kind of tired, sleepy. Then we had the bing and the excitement. And then we had a little bit of kind of nervous, have I missed it? And then you went back to excited. So you're already doing a little bit of story arc in there. Let's take one more and see if you can just extract the emotion. Okay, just one emotion.
I'll go.
Brilliant.
As I approached the vibrant, melodious circle of women in their brilliantly colored African dress, I felt my heart begin to pound to the rhythm of the drums. The dazzling dancing women, welcomed me in, their warm arms embracing me and drawing me among them. Instantly, my feet began flying in a desperate, joyous attempt to mimic the flying steps all around me, and my hips began emphatically rocking side to side to join in the magical choreography all around me.
Okay, what was the emotion you were going for?
Well, it's joy. It's certainly joy, but it also has, threads of other excitement, anticipation, but mostly joy. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we are definitely in the right ballpark. So well done. Beautiful description. I really felt that. Oh, yeah. For me, there was absolutely the joy, but also this sense of, belonging with the dance, with the women, with the movement. Just watch out, because you did actually use the word joy. You said desperately joyous. So it's really hard not, I know, right? It's really hard.
I purposely did that. Yeah. Is that weird?
Well, if you're wanting us to guess joy, then yes, you cannot use the word joy. It's not weird.
Oh, right. I thought you meant the contrast between desperate and joyous.
No, I like that. I like that contrast. It's just that it meant that the word that we were guessing was in there.
Right. Sorry.
That's all right. It was great. It was really, really great. Okay. Oh, should we take one more, or should we move on to the next game? I think, we have to move on. Okay, we're going to move on. So this is a new game that I've created, and it's called Coach Speak. Okay. And it's because, oh, coaches, I love you. I am one, right? But, oh, Coach Speak. All these things coaches say that don't mean anything and don't communicate anything, and certainly do not communicate any level of uniqueness. So the first step to this game, called Coach Speak, is I would like you, just like popcorn, just unmute and speak out. What phrases do you hear coaches say that mean nothing? So I'm going to ask you to speak them, and then I'm going to write them in the chat so that we're not doubling up, and so that we then have them all in the chat. So I'll start us off as an example. Breaking through blocks. Okay, these are copy. These are pieces of copy I never want to see in anyone's copy from now on. So breaking through blocks doesn't mean anything to anyone except coaches, right? So unless your clients truly are coaches, in which case I might give you a pass on using that phrase. But if your clients are not coaches, that doesn't mean anything to the average person. Okay, let's play Coach Speak. What else?
Limiting beliefs.
Yes, and what do people, so we're just going to say them out loud, Teresa, so that I can write them down. Hazel, how do people say that? So they might say something like...
I suppose it's letting go of limiting beliefs.
Yes, excellent. Okay. We should play it.
Finding your purpose? Or is that...
Yeah. I'm going to give that one a pass, because if your work truly is about helping people find their purpose, then I think you need to be allowed to say that. Yeah, as long as you have given thought to what you mean by the word purpose, because some people use purpose in a, like the purpose of my glass is to hold water way, right? And that's what they mean when they're talking about what's your purpose, what's the purpose of your business, and it's very logical and practical. And then for others, it is a deep belief that we are all here for a sole purpose, and that you have one, and that it can be found. So if you're going to use that phrase, and this is where the game is going, know what you mean by it and say that. Okay. But we'll leave it out for now. What about things like following your bliss? Can we pop that one in the Coach Speak? Yes. I'm going to add that one in.
Challenging archetypes.
Okay. Tell me, is this something that you see out there a lot, Mariam?
I've seen it here and there, and I work with them, so it's just French if it's not broken down.
Right, I see. And just do you think it's French, just the word itself, archetypes, or?
Yes, I think a lot of people are not familiar with that in their day-to-day.
The concept of archetypes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's pop that in. You might choose to play with that one. Okay.
Kate, I have to ask, I'm a little confused by this because what all the suggestions we're making, they have meaning? So are you saying that it's not clear to the average person unless you say what you mean? Is that
exactly?
What you mean? Okay.
I mean, and that's the next step. So once we've gathered a few of these, we're going to play the next step, which is say what you mean. Okay, so you're going to be in small groups. I want you to pick one that you know you are guilty of using in your copy, and then you're going to be challenged on it. Okay, so someone else in your group is going to be your spar buddy, and they're going to say, Linda, what do you mean by that? And you're going to have to respond. And unless it's interesting and clear, your spar buddy is going to continue asking, Linda, what do you mean by that? And what do you mean by that? Okay, and keep going until you get to, now that's interesting. Okay, so that's how you win the game. Your spar buddy has to go, now that is interesting. So we're looking for your unique take on this phrase that just gets like thrown about. Of course it means something, and if you're trained as a coach and you're a good one, you do know how to help people break through blocks, and you do know how to resolve limiting beliefs. But also, we have got to the point in the industry where unless you're saying what you mean by that, there's no reason why someone should hear you and believe your capabilities when they may have had experiences of working with other people who absolutely can't help them do that. Right? Okay, have we got any more?
I would great place to work. It's not quite coach speak, but I see it a lot.
That's Elizabeth. A great place to work. Okay, I think we're going to leave that one out for now because I want really common.
What about the things like inner critic and inner child and stuff, Kate? Because I mean, again, if you're not in the coaching world, you probably don't necessarily know those phrases.
Let's have heal your inner critic. Yeah, and heal your inner child. Actually,
I would add empowerment and transformation to those.
Empowerment,
so used that I don't think people know what they mean.
Yes, good ones. Yeah, transformation, brilliant. Yeah,
being the truth of who you are.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Okay. Now you're all going to see me use that phrase in the future and be like, Kate said not to use that. And now she's using it. But it's going to be within the context of other stories, examples, testimonials, expressions that back that up, because I know that that is the essence of my work. So I'm not going to not speak about it, but I'm going to make sure I say what I mean by it.
Finding authentic core.
Oh yeah, just the word authentic, really. But yeah, we'll go. Okay, authentic core, and authentic self-expression.
What about be your best self?
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, now we're cooking. Be your best self.
One of the ones. Something about values. Something like be true to your values. Or something.
Oh yeah. Or live in alignment with your values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the ones I've used is find your flow, finding your flow.
Oh yeah, that's going in. Thanks, Lisa. I'm sure I've used that at some point.
Connect with yourself. Dissolve your inner barriers.
Yes, both of those. Reconnect with yourself. Oh. And dissolve, was it? Dissolve your inner barriers. Yeah, I mean, just imagine for a moment someone not in the coaching industry seeing that phrase and being like, what? You want me to dissolve my inner barriers? No, thank you.
Challenge your mindset.
Yeah, shift your mindset.
It's so good. You're going to see these everywhere now. It's going to be brilliant. Okay, this is enough. So I want you to pick one. You'll be happy to know that you're probably not all going to get a chance to do this. But it's one of the things you can continue to do. Is there some background noise? With your buddies, right? So another way that you can make the most of having buddies on this course is decide to spend some time together and continue playing the games, right? You can play the games in WhatsApp. Like over a course of a day, you could do a visual line, and then when they're free, they'll do an auditory line, and then the next person can do a kinesthetic one. Just like decide in your group how you want to use your buddies and continue playing the games. You might also want to agree a time together as a group that you do your writing. You don't necessarily need to like get on Zoom and be together, but if you've all agreed we're writing at 9 a.m, you can just send each other a little message at 2 minutes to 9 going, ready, let's check in at 10. And then at 10, like, hey, that was awful. Or, woohoo, that was brilliant. So just a few different ways that you can use your buddies, and playing this game might be one of them. What do you mean by that? So this is how you play. In your small groups, you're going to confess to your most loved and overused coach speak phrase. And then you're going to have a sparring buddy ask you repeatedly, what do you mean by that? And you'll respond. Let's say it's living in alignment with your values. You might say, well, it's really important that if you care about our planet, that you're actually expressing that in your actions and how you spend your money. What do you mean by that? Oh, well, personally, I make sure that I, go down to the stores where you can refill your detergent, and I also schedule it in because I know that if it's not in my diary, I don't do it. Okay, now you have a tangible story example of living a value. Okay, so you're going to keep going. It doesn't have to be a story and it doesn't have to be about you, but just keep going. What do you mean by that? Until your sparring buddy goes, now that's interesting. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put you in the same breakout rooms. You'll all be learning from each other. Have fun. Amazing. Welcome back. How was that? Was that fun? Yes. Was it hard? Yeah. A couple of you. Lisa, I loved it. You said, no, Ellen. Ellen said, I want to go because it's hard. Great. Such a great attitude. And I saw some really interesting examples. I overheard a couple of the ones that were about reconnecting with self. And if you work in transformational work of any kind, for you understand that needs and feelings and beliefs and values are all connected. But bear in mind that for most people, if you just throw those words out, like, oh, it's about connecting to your needs and what you want, and how you feel and your beliefs, and it's a lot, right? It's a lot. And like the camera example, zooming in and zooming out, it's a lot to focus on and to grasp. So choosing like one and then going deeper, like what do you mean by that, right? Choose, who gave a really great example? Becky. Becky gave a really great example of connecting to yourself, and she went right into the signals of the body and the tightness in the throat and the I can't remember exactly how you described it, but something in the gut, and how those times where we ignore it, the times we listen to it, and how our life is different based on whether we ignore it or pay attention. And then we're really with you. We understand what you mean. And if we know we have a problem, either listening to, recognizing, trusting, or following those signals, it's like all these separate parts to it, right? Then we know, oh, Becky can help. Becky's an expert in the signals of the body. right? By the specificity with which she talks. Okay, so keep playing these games. I'm glad that they are a combination of fun and hard, because that's how you're going to get to good. So keep playing the games with each other, and then specifically moving forward before tomorrow, what I would like you to do is continue writing out your moments, okay? So the moments that you've dotted out on the wiggly line. And as we continue this process, more moments, more memories may emerge. You can continue to map them out on the line. Continue writing them out, and including now sensory and emotive language. Okay, so it can either be, as you write out now the moments with sensory and emotive language, it can either be the original 3 to 5 that I asked you to write out, or if more stories or a different story is clamoring for your attention, write that. Okay, so really pay attention to the story that is wanting to be written. And don't worry whether it sort of fits in neatly to your vision and the opposite of your vision. Really trust now, at this point in the process, the stories that are coming, the stories that you're waking up with, the stories that you're finding yourself thinking about, and get them out on paper. Okay, write them out, and write them out with sensory and emotive language. And continual journaling on, or just paying attention to the lessons from those moments in your life and any emerging themes. And I will see you tomorrow. Really, really great work today. Well done, everyone. Bye for now.